For Sunday, February 1st, you have found the Georgia Gang. Our topics today: the gas tax legislation, the Atlanta Public School cheating story unfolds, and Google coming to Atlanta.
From the Fox 5 studios, the Georgia Gang starts now.
Good morning. We're glad you could be with us. I'm sitting in for Dick Williams, who was hoarse today and is sitting in my seat. So I hope you're going to be hanging in there today.
Yeah.
Great. Well, the conversation all around the Gold Dome in Atlanta is, of course, the unveiling Thursday of the big transportation bill on the House side. And they're trying to cover, as we've talked about on the gang, $1 billion for roads and infrastructure. And what happened was basically what I would call a switcheroo here. It's going to be a consolidation of the gas tax and various taxes into one 29.2-cent excise tax.
That's a pretty big tax.
I'm going to go around the table. It is a pretty big tax, Alexis. How's your analysis of this?
Well, I think initially the excise tax was a percentage of the of the amount you paid for your gas. It was like 6.4 or something like that, around 7%. And now it's going up to this 29 point whatever it is percent, and not percent, but just
29.2 cents for a gallon.
Per gallon. So that's a whole lot more money. And just as the gasoline prices were coming down, this is a big hit that's going to be tacked on. I don't see how this is going to fly.
Jeffrey, this is going to really impact local school districts and, of course, cities and counties. What do you think?
Well, you know, they needed $1 billion. They saw 516 sitting there in local and county taxes and say, hey, there's halfway. We're halfway there with that. Or at least that's the way it looks on the face of it. I talked to some folks at Association of County Commissioners of Georgia, and they're not all that upset about this. They think that there's a way that they can make this whole. First of all, those special local option sales taxes have to expire before
this goes into effect.
Before this goes into
right.
effect. Some of them just voted. Some counties just voted for one in November that won't go into effect until 16. And then you got 6 years, and those have to be honored. So this isn't going to happen overnight. The excise tax, when you add all this stuff together, it's already at 27.5. And so it's not that much of a difference. Locals, after they lose this money, can go back by ordinance and
correct.
again by referendum for 3 cents.
But those locals who are not spending the gas tax money for transportation, shame on them anyway.
Well, that's right. But I want to kind of follow up, Jeff, on what you're saying. Wouldn't you, as a voter in a locality, be a little more leery now in voting for a splost in the future because of you're going to have to be raising taxes? That's how you're going to get all this revenue is local taxes. Now, you're right about the counties maybe somewhat happy, but the Georgia School Boards Association
Well, let me tell you, the
blasted
school
this.
boards, and I'm going to tell you, I think that they're going to have to do something for school boards going forward, either in this session or in subsequent sessions. They're going to have to make them whole, because if you take that e-splost away, and you can't capture those gas sales taxes, they're going to have to do something about what is estimated to be around $172 million right now.
Well, Dick, if you were a state legislator, would you vote for this?
I don't know. I don't have enough to tell yet. I don't think it's just the tax increase that everybody says it is. I think it's a shift. It's okay with me so far.
Yeah, but if you're doing 29.2 cents a gallon, that is a hike.
Exactly.
It's very slight.
But it's not
very
very
slight.
It's not very slight. It's a definite increase. I mean, you multiply that times 10, 20 gallons.
And where the taxes will be raised is at the local level.
I did the math. Am I not only hoarse but crazy?
Well,
I think it's only a 2 cent increase.
It's not even that, because you're already
Yeah.
at 27.5. This is 29.2, and the difference really amounts to where they index the price of gas right now. And
Well,
so they
that's-
averaged it over the last
But
4
an
or 5
extra 2
years.
cents is still a
It came
hike.
with $3.39 or something like
Right.
that,
Well,
which is higher than what it
where
is
the
right
taxes will rise, though, is at the local level. It's
well,
not
taxes
a new
are going to
state
rise
tax.
at the local. That's right, but they'll rise in a way that they can replace that revenue that they're losing, and they can do so first by ordinance and again by referendum. So I'm not so sure that it's all that bad off. I agree with Dick. If you're not already spending that money on transit, you should have. The other thing about this is transit. I mean, and we haven't talked about that element of it, but we're talking about real money raised by the state of Georgia specifically for transit. MARTA and other transit stations, other transit agencies throughout the state. I think that that's terrific. Most of it off of electric, an excise tax on electric vehicles.
That is going to make people not buy
Well,
alternative fuel.
it'd be a $200 fee on an alternative fuel vehicle.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm all
$300
for
if it's a
it.
business. Yeah.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Use
but
the road.
it's going to discourage people from buying the electric cars, don't you think? I mean, why would, and don't you feel, it seems like they should be rewarded rather than punished.
Well, they're getting a
for
tax
using
break now, so people are probably going to be
alternative
rushing
That's
to
another
buy.
issue.
Well, here's the
They're
deal.
gonna be rushing to
but
get a
Alexis,
car.
here's the deal. They're using our roads. They're not paying the gas tax to help support and maintain those roads. They need to be able to do that in some way. And this seems to me an equitable way of sort of leveling that field a little bit.
Well-
And we're getting more and more of these electric vehicles out there that aren't paying their fair share.
Well, that's because we give them away, essentially.
That's right,
Through tax
because of the
breaks.
credits.
Federal and state tax
That's
credits.
right.
And I agree. As Dick said, it's really a tax shift as opposed to a tax cut and a
Right.
tax increase. But still, it
Yes,
feels
but it's still going to be
regressive.
raising taxes at the
It's
local level. That's
regressive.
the conundrum. And Jeff, you and I have tangled over this in recent weeks, but the name Grover Norquist has to come up now, the head of Americans for Tax Reform.
They shifted the responsibility.
Dozens of these
Right.
legislators, though, have signed a no tax hike pledge. How is this going to factor
So
in?
you saw the Speaker of the House stand up and say, we've been able to raise this money without an increase in state taxes. And the key word, the operative word, they're being state.
Right.
Because clearly this is going to raise local taxes. There's no question about that. And this 29.2% isn't static like it was before. It is indexed to the Corporate Fuel Efficiency Index and also to the cost of living index. So it's going to rise with inflation.
Well, good point, Dick. Let's talk about the medical marijuana bill. I don't know if that would help your throat any, but it is on the move.
That's a very good idea. Thank you, Phil. It is on the move, there's no question. It looks like the two headline bills besides transportation are medical marijuana and autism.
Yeah.
That is on the move also. In fact, let's talk about that a second. I want to go around the table again. I'm usually opposed to the state mandating something, in this case insurance, but boy, the Senate unanimously didn't seem to have a concern,
Well,
although
Unanimously, that's
unanimously,
right.
the Georgia Chamber is opposed to this mandate. What do you think, Alexis?
Well, this was a revote, if you will, because this was brought up at the last session, last minute at the last session, and that's why it didn't pass, because the autism bill was attached to the medical marijuana bill, and therefore did not pass. But the Senate voted exactly the same last session too, for the autism mandate coverage, and. It seems to me that in the way of medical coverage, at least with the Affordable Care Act, you cannot deny people coverage for pre-existing conditions or any condition. So I don't know why they need to pass this bill. I mean, they should be covered anyway.
Well, Jeff, I think the age they were considering the age of the children, and I believe they put it at age 6. But are you in favor of this just mandating this insurance?
Well, we've seen this before in the Georgia General Assembly with I don't know, the people who work on your face. What are those things? Those doctors?
Yeah, the plastic
Dermatologist.
surgeons.
Dermatologists that you can go and see a dermatologist. And we've seen these kinds of special deals or favors given out to certain mandates to certain specialties. I'm not for them because I think that you should have a general rule. In the autism case, I'm just not sure.
Well, we're going to talk more about General Assembly bills when we come back, and we're also going to be talking about some new developments in the Atlanta Public School cheating trial that's still going on. Stay with us.
Have a question or comment for the Georgia Gang? Visit their website at myfoxatlanta.com.
Welcome back to the Georgia Gang. I'm Phil Kent, sitting in for my horse colleague on the left, Dick Williams. And we've been talking about several bills in the General Assembly that are on the move. What's going on, though, with the so-called religious liberty bill? We know that there's been a back and forth between the proponents and the opponents, which include some major corporations and, of course, the gay lobby, who feel that this is
And of course, some members of the clergy as
discrimination.
well.
Well, the clergy has been split, although
No,
you
it's
saw
the Baptists versus the rest of them.
That's right. That's essentially correct.
Well, I don't. Some of the Baptists are not in favor of it.
No, but most of those who support it are Baptists.
Well, the interesting thing is it hinges, is this discrimination or not discrimination? Are businesses included in this bill or not? Now, the authors say no, businesses are not. And what's interesting is the bill has been tweaked, and even the governor said a couple of weeks ago that he used the word, it's been ameliorated to where this could be a good thing. So I thought that was an interesting signal.
But tell me why you need another religious liberty bill to
Well,
You mean
other than the
other
First
than-
Amendment of the
Well,
Constitution.
this is exactly like the bill that President Clinton signed into law in 1992. It's no different.
And 29 other states have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's an added layer of
And
protection.
it means that you
according
can
to
do
the
whatever
proponents.
you can do under your religious tenets at the time, right? So if you've got if your religion and
go
your
there.
church says
Don't
that you
do
can
it.
go spank your kids and beat them, we've seen those stories, right?
Yeah.
You can do that under this bill, right?
Well, the proponents say you're just full of
defects
it.
defects will have no role and can't enter
I thought
that
he was going to
church.
turn into Timothy McDonald.
That's right. Well, here's another.
Who is a Baptist who is not in
Well,
favor
here's
of this bill?
here's another controversial issue we can all tackle too, and that is the ongoing Atlanta public school cheating trial. And of course, we had some just dynamite, explosive testimony from Millicent Few, who was the human resources director under the disgraced Superintendent Beverly Hall. And this was big because she testified under oath that Beverly Hall destroyed documents that were indicating high potential for cheating, and that with a wink and a nod, she allowed this to go on. And the judge, Jerry Baxter, the Superior Court judge, is rightly saying, I want to report on her health. I'd like to get her into the courtroom.
Well,
What do you think, Jeff?
Before I turn to Jeff, Millicent Few brought a hand grenade in to the courtroom, and she put it right there
She sure did.
in the courtroom and stepped back. And Jeff, you tell us what she said.
And
it blew up.
it exploded. It blew up, and it was very strong, and I think it's very credible testimony from Millicent Few. She has absolutely no reason in the world to get up there and
She's
perjure
pleaded to a
herself.
misdemeanor.
She has
Right.
pleaded to a misdemeanor, and she's accepted her punishment and all of this, and it was very explosive testimony. It says, her testimony says that she essentially deep-sixed a report that showed that there was
Potential.
that an analysis of this number showed that there could be cheating. Beverly Hall's position at the time, and she testified, Millicent Few testified to this as well, Beverly Hall's position was that she found no evidence of cheating, and because she found no evidence of cheating, she being the consultant who was hired to do this this study, that she saw
You
no
could argue
credibility.
she didn't want to
saw
hear
no
about
credibility.
any evidence, and also
One of the things,
they
but here's the
falsified-
distinction that I would
they
like.
falsified the logs too. You
Well,
forgot
the
to mention
distinction
that.
that we need to be able to make, you're exactly right, and that's true. But I mean, that's what was testified. But the distinction that needs to be made here is between a conspiracy on the part of Superintendent Hall to direct people to cheat, and testimony that says that she tried to sweep under the rug a study or a report that said that there could be cheating. We
two
need to
different
be able to draw the line between there. There's a clear distinction there. I think they're going to make that
Yeah, but
distinction clear.
Well,
It's not
you've
gonna
always,
work.
you've
It's not
always
gonna
had a,
work.
you've always had a soft spot for Beverly Hall. You used to be her consultant, but I'm glad to hear you say now that she's presided over a culture of corruption. And Alexis, we can all agree
no.
she's betrayed these school children. There's no question with all of this testimony.
Well, it is a terrible, terrible situation, and it is a horrible thing that has gone on in the school system, but there's still no evidence has been shown that she directed them to cheat.
You admit she presided over a culture of
That's a good
corruption.
point. But that's a good point.
The evidence or the testimony that we've heard over the last, 4-6 weeks, is that they felt pressure. No one has said they were told to do this.
It was a wink and a nod, and
Except at
it's
lower
very
levels.
easy to see
Well,
what
that's
happened.
why it's a racketeering case.
Well,
Right.
And that's what the prosecution's got to prove.
You're absolutely correct, but you would agree it was a culture of corruption that she presided over.
I think
Let me say that.
I don't agree to that. I think it was a culture of too much pressure.
Well, it was a culture of corruption when you start destroying reports.
Yeah, and falsifying
just
the logs.
stupid.
What is going
Yeah, that
on
was
here?
not a
It was a
good
cover-up, and you usually are opposed to cover-ups.
I'm always
Well, the
opposed to
fact of the matter matter is that she could have made her claim in any event by making the report public, by sharing it when there were open records requests and things of that sort, and also adding that there was no evidence in that report that any cheating occurred, but rather an analysis of numbers, just like the Governor's Office of Student Achievement had done, an analysis of numbers that indicated that
too much.
These kinds of gains couldn't have happened any other way.
Well, real quickly, let's cover some really good economic news that occurred last week. We saw the mayor of Atlanta and the mayor of several cities, I think, Brookhaven, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody.
Tri-Cities.
Yes, we've got Google Fiber that's now going to enter into our area. Jeff, we can get faster internet service. I know you've been unhappy.
A gigabyte per second.
That's a lot of...
A gigabyte per second.
Dick, you're right. So that's good. It's good economic news there. And I know you can't.
If you can afford it.
You can't talk, but did you want to comment on the Brookhaven story in last Sunday's Atlanta Journal-Constitution?
Well, it was all true.
Okay.
but
the foibles of Brookhaven.
No, it's a nice job of reporting, but it comes from the Journal-Constitution's hatred of new cities.
Yes.
The new cities are cheaper, better than what they were before.
You don't really see a lot of these.
So you got a lot of little misdemeanors here.
That's right.
Come on.
That's right. Well, that's the last word on Brookhaven from Dick Williams.
Sweep that under the rug.
When we come back, we'll have more fun and more stuff. Stay with us.
It was true.
Have a question or comment for the Georgia Gang? Visit their website at myfoxatlanta.com.
Welcome back to a feisty Georgia Gang today. I'm Phil Kent, sitting in for Dick Williams, who's popped another cough drop, I think. He's hanging in there with us. There was a little bit of Georgia news on the national level this past week. Our new Senator David Perdue got a couple great subcommittee assignments that should redound to the chairmanship assignments. That is absolutely correct. That should redound to our benefit. One oversees the State Department, and the other was agriculture.
Yes, and I think the State Department thing is important because of Benghazi.
That's right.
That gives him a chance to get after Hillary Clinton.
And of course, agriculture.
And also, I think it reflects his experience, his work experience, because he's had international work experience.
I think that's why I got it.
Yeah.
I think that's the right answer, Jeff. I'm proud of you. Yes.
Well, but I get to be partisan.
That's right. You can. You don't have to be an objective host here.
Wait a minute. He said that you were to the left of him. That's what he said a second ago.
So where's that?
Well, I tell you what, and also agriculture is our top industry in the state, so I think it's great that he got that slot too. Something, Dick, you can also comment on here, the Keystone oil pipeline that means jobs and it means less energy dependence on those Arab sheiks. Got a great vote, including those 8 or 9 Democrats, was it, in the U.S. Senate?
Yeah, that was huge. Now, Obama says he's going to veto that. He's got 8 or 9 Democrats supporting it. It has overwhelming public support. Why would the president want to veto that?
Because there are environmental issues and concerns surrounding.
No, there are no caribou.
The State Department said that they'd been resolved, though. Actually, there used to be, but I don't see it anymore. The State Department even cleared it.
There's no caribou. There might be a prairie chicken or two.
Dick, the answer to your question is he's a left-wing ideologue, and he's just in the same bed with the radical environmentalists who don't want anything.
Well, and
aren't
also
there some states out there that are fighting this, and he wants to see that he wants to see that judicial process.
That used to be the case, but not anymore.
They've all
been resolved.
All of these have been knocked down, and the labor unions that you usually love are for this.
Well, and then how about the fact that it's not going to mean jobs on a permanent basis, just enough jobs to build the pipeline, and then that's it?
No. There's jobs at each end of the pipeline. Let's not lose sight of that. I don't know what on earth this guy's doing. His energy plan allows one offshore lease between Virginia and Georgia. What's the point of that?
Well, it's a crack in the door. I was amazed that we even got that one lease off the Georgia coast.
But it should be drill,
well,
baby,
I agree.
drill.
I totally agree with you.
Wow.
Maybe he's finally seeing, someone in the administration maybe seeing the light, or maybe it was a mistake
Yeah,
that happened.
could have been a typo.
Let's talk
Well,
about
already,
let's
though-
talk about a mistake that Barack Obama admitted to his credit this past week, and that was the 529 college savings plans that are popular with everybody, including rich liberals. And he actually he said this in his State of the Union that he wanted to do this, and then all of a sudden there was a firestorm and said, "Oh wait, I made a mistake."
Did you have a 529 for any of your kids?
I have had 529.
I've had for both of mine.
Yes.
I didn't.
You probably didn't.
I did
no.
not.
So
They're useful
would you
vehicles.
admit
They
that
are
that was
very
terrible
useful.
mistake?
They
I
are
don't-
useful. I don't know how terrible it was when you say you made a mistake and you go back and you know,
Fix it.
and it was probably the staff anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
but
the
it shows
president-
his mindset.
Show in what
His
way?
mindset is to punish the middle class.
No,
It is
no, it's not to
not.
punish the middle
Absolutely not.
class. I don't think it's to punish the rich. I think that it's more to, balance out what we're saying is as more and more, income imbalance in America.
Jeff,
and we need to fix
remember,
it.
Dick
Right.
makes the point on the middle class, and we talk about job numbers and unemployment. Remember this statistic: since 2009, the middle class income has dropped by $2,000 on average. It is a war on the middle class,
No,
whether
no,
he
that
intends
Oh,
or
has
my
been
goodness.
happening for the last 30 years. The middle income has
but
dropped by
look,
more than 2,000, by
You
6,000.
want to encourage college savings.
You want to encourage
And the
college
529
savings. You want to
do that.
encourage
Yes.
home ownership. That's
Then he wants to
exactly
take it
right.
away.
No, I don't think that he wants to take it
No, he
away, and I
doesn't.
think that's why the statement
why-
was made this week.
That's why he walked back.
That's right.
All right, very good. Johnny Isaacson has a bill on the home infusion medical care.
Very personal bill. His son was in a car accident years ago.
Yes.
And he thinks it would be less expensive to allow treatment at home rather than in hospitals.
Right.
And
Can't fight that.
the bill has bipartisan support, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just about everything Johnny Isaacson does
Has bipartisan
support.
Yeah, he's good like that.
All right, when we come back, it'll now be time for winners and losers. Stay with us.
Time now for this week's winners and losers.
Welcome back to the Georgia Gang. I'm Phil Kent, sitting in for Dick Williams, who will end up the show with his winners and losers. But first, I'll go to you, Alexis. What do you have?
I have a lot of winners. I'm not going to do them all, but I'm going to do some because I was out last week, right? So I want to salute Bernice King for having a wonderful Salute to Greatness dinner in which Bill Clinton was honored, as well as Christine King Farris, Martin Luther King Jr.'s sister, and they created a new award in her honor and made her the first recipient of Distinguished Service Award. And then also Sheffield Hale at the Atlanta History Center this past week did a 50th anniversary of the Nobel Peace Prize that Dr. King won, and had a wonderful panel moderated by Hank Klibanoff, who showed news footage from 50 years ago from the dinner. It was the first interracial public dinner that Atlanta had to celebrate King's Nobel Peace Prize. And they had a panel: Sam Massell, Janice Rothschild, Billy Aaron, and Andy Young. They were great. The whole evening was amazing. And then finally, the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival is going on now. And Steve Lebowitz is the chair of the festival, and they have sprung off as an independent nonprofit from the Atlanta Jewish Committee to stand on their own
And
because
that's
they've
in
been so
Sandy Springs.
successful. It's all over in the Atlantic Station, all over.
Jeffrey.
Okay.
Well, I've got to go back to Alexis. She had a great list, but my winner is sort of connected to her. His name is William Alexander Scott III. Happens to be Alexis' father, and he's a winner because he was one of 6 Georgians who were honored in a Capitol this week at the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. His role in World War II as an archivist and photographer, graphic photos. You showed us one of them earlier of some of the atrocities that took place during the Holocaust. So he's my winner. And I don't want to steal your thunder, Dick, but I have to a little bit. The Atlanta Hawks are just unbelievable.
Right.
I mean,
they
this
were also recognized the same day by the legislature.
How about that?
Well, that's
on
exactly right. In
fire.
fact, I think we can. I'm sure Dick will have a comment on
I
that.
will.
But I'm going to make them the winner. We might have a championship team. I just got a couple quick ones. My winner is the Google that we talked about coming to the Atlanta area to give us a more competitive service. And my loser, though, was a headline in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution the other day, and it said that crime was down in Atlanta. But if you read the story, crime is not down when it comes to murder and rape. It's actually up from a year before. And I'm worried. We talk about all the wonderful things that's happening in the Atlanta area and exciting prospects for the future, but I hope the city fathers aren't going to blow it. We have got to crack down, and we've got to have some swift and successful prosecutions in order to get crime under control. Dick, winners and losers.
Well, I will begin with David Chandley. It's so good to have him back on the air. He's with Fox 5 now, and he's a friend, and I hope he has a good long run here. And also on the good side, George Goodwin, the Atlanta Journal's only Pulitzer Prize winner, died last week. He was 97, Alexis?
Yeah, something like, yeah.
He was known as the Great White Whale when he walked into a newsroom. He was a compelling presence and good for Atlanta, and that's what I got.
Well, that's great. And, you know, that just reminded me that J.B. Fuqua's widow, the great philanthropist, she passed away last week. A great lady who did a lot of good things for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. That's it for us on the Georgia Gang. Dick Williams will be back in the chair next week, so join us then.
The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the panelists appearing on today's program.